I think that teachers have had a bad rep in the United States, and especially working for public schools, in terms of like low salaries and other negative, bad conditions. But I think that it's totally possible to be a professional teacher and to live a comfortable life on a teacher's salary here in Texas. I'm Lani Huang. I'm 25 years old. I make $58,400 a year, and I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm a middle school math teacher. When I was working in Oklahoma, my starting salary was one of the lowest starting salaries for teachers in the nation. I actually participated in the Oklahoma teacher walkout. The starting salary back then, I believe, was like $32,400 or $900. And so moving to Texas, it was definitely like a $10,000, $15,000 salary increase with the same amount of experience. So I'm very satisfied with my current salary. Growing up in Thailand and then coming to the States, there's a different standard of living, but there's also the expectation as like a second generation immigrant for me that I have to do better than my mom. And so there was that pressure of always like achieving, along with like the Asian culture of the high expectations of, being a doctor, a lawyer, a pharmacist. So I think that my mom, through all of her sayings and just growing up with her like frugal habits, definitely affected who I am as a person, because if I can do anything myself, I will learn how to do it myself. It's always been a dream of mine to own my own home. In Chicago, I definitely wouldn't be able to afford the houses there, but moving to Texas and seeing how affordable houses still are, especially with the salary that I'm making as a teacher here, I knew I had to jump on this opportunity. I didn't know about closing costs. So I knew about the down payment. I knew I had to have, a certain amount to put down, and I actually bought my home with the Teachers Next Door program. So the realtor contributes part of their commission to the closing costs, which was very, very helpful. So buying this house for myself, I think a lot of people are surprised, especially because they know I have a boyfriend. They're like, oh, did you guys buy it together? That's always like one of their first questions. I definitely was paying for a majority of things, and when he was able to, I started, charging for rent and utilities. And so over time, I've been increasing that amount, but it's not quite half as of right now. I think that there was some tension over money during lockdown and because of the coronavirus quarantine, just because I felt like he was getting a little too comfortable. And so that's, where I drew the line of, I don't mind helping and paying for these things as long as you're not getting comfortable and starting to take advantage of it and starting to feel complacent, because it's important for me to make sure that the people around me are building better saving habits themselves and not just relying on one person. My insurance didn't cover that because this year I chose to have the cheapest insurance, not thinking that I was going to need to get my wisdom teeth removed. And so the bill was close to $2,000, and I had to pay for it upfront, all of it, the day of my appointment. So because of that mindset on strict saving habits, I guess, I was able to do that. My mindset towards saving is that everything that I'm putting into my savings, that's money I don't have anymore. it's a little competition or a little game with myself to try to be under my budget. During the week, I meal prep, so Monday through Friday. It's just easier because as a teacher, I don't always come home at the same time every day, and so I don't usually want to come home and cook, so I just have it prepared on Sunday. She's been with my mom first for a while, but now that I've had her, we've taken a lot of road trips back to Chicago and just around the country. After graduating college, I had about $16,000 in student debt.
Hi, welcome to my classroom. I'm Miss Huang. I'm going to give you guys a quick tour. So this is what it looks like from the student perspective. They have to sit behind their plexiglass with their masks on.
It's definitely an interesting struggle because with Zoom, behavior management is, seemingly easier. If there's like a student who's being disruptive or distracting, you can put them on mute or you can kick them out of the classroom. But when you're trying to teach and then there's an in-person situation that you need to take care of, it kind of is like you have to switch brains.
It's a little early, but I had some of my kids who did well on their quiz on Friday help set up our class Christmas tree.
I was excited to get back into the classroom because I knew that that's where I could really be in my element and decorate my classroom. It makes it feel a little bit more normal to be able to play with kids, even with the social distancing guidelines of having to be 6 feet apart, having to wear a mask, having to sit behind a plexiglass. I would say I'm a good saver, or I would like to think I'm a good saver when I can be, but in terms of investing, I'm still new at that, and so good with money I feel like is relative. Am I comfortable with where I am right now? If an emergency were to happen, would I be okay? I think I would say yes, but I think that if I upward compare, there's people doing way better and maybe have more knowledge about financial literacy than I do. But with the knowledge that I do have, I find it important with my role as a teacher, a math teacher, teaching low income or high risk students. I do feel like it's my responsibility to share the knowledge that I have learned. Since I've increased my salary, I don't think I'm as nitpicky about cutting costs, and I finally feel at the point where I don't have to be so conscious and obsessed with my finances the way that I used to feel, especially since buying my house. I think that was a really big goal for me, and so I really wanted to make sure that I could do that. And now that I have that, I think that I want to enjoy the moment, because as much as I'm a high achieving person, I also realize that there has to be a balance between enjoying what I have, because if you're always looking towards the next thing, you're never going to feel like you have enough.